What's up, everyone? Josh Lighting. Welcome back to another anime in review. So, yeah, I'm going to start a new series here now that I have finished collecting what I wanted to collect. I'm going to go into a review session of the specific animes from here on out until I get caught up, and then we'll see what happens. These videos will also be posted on my YouTube, so if you don't get a chance to watch it here, you're going to be able to watch it there. So, let's get into it. So, this series is on Bleach. So, you guys don't know, a lot of people didn't know that I was a huge anime fan, especially in the military time. When I went into the Marine Corps, most people thought I was just some average Smojo who knew about a little bit of anime, and they didn't realize I had a huge collection before I joined the Marine Corps. So, and then when I went into the Marine Corps, I didn't collect much because I was overseas. I didn't want to buy much of physical releases because of that. So, and there's constant moving. I didn't want to deal with the hassle and the cost of having to move around things, especially when you're moving around so much in the Marine Corps. So I think that was a smart move on my end. It wouldn't be until I got back after college. So I went to the Marine Corps, got out of the Marine Corps, went to college, got out of college, came back home. That's when I started collecting anime again. And it was actually within just the last year or so that I started collecting anime again. And instead of not having hardly of an anime collection, I ended up getting a ginormous collection now. And I'm pretty content with it. So, that being stated, anime has been a thing that I have grown up with culturally my whole life. As a kid, I didn't really understand what anime was until I got older. Okay, my first introduction to anime would probably be Pokemon. Believe it or not, it was Pokemon. Back in '97, that's when I watched my first episode of Pokemon, the anime. But it wouldn't be until a couple years later where I found my favorite anime of all time, which is Digimon. Okay, and then from there, it grew. I didn't know it was anime at the time. And it wouldn't be until Dragon Ball, where Dragon Ball Z came out in Toonami, where I figured out, okay, this is anime. Now I know what anime is. But still, I didn't 100% understand what anime was until I got to be a teen. So when I started learning how to draw extremely well, where my artsy parts came into, I started understanding what anime was. And it was on Adult Swim that I was introduced to specific animes. One of them being the original Fullmetal Alchemist, which you'll see later. And it would be Inuyasha, that you'll see later. And the next one, which is the big one, also, we had Boondock Saints. I did end up watching a little bit of that, but it wouldn't be after that. Then I ended up getting the biggest one, and probably my favorite anime of all time. Let's be honest, Digimon is great and all, but it just doesn't hit as much as what this series does. Now, Sword Art Online is up there too, but I think this series by far hits a milestone more than any of them, because who would go out there to spend the amount that I spend on this series? But this is Bleach. So during the airing of Inuyasha, we're not Saints, and we had the other animes. I was introduced to Bleach, and Bleach is the one that stuck with me. So I ended up watching, I think, within season 3, which was the rescue. It was the rescue. That's when I ended up starting to watch Bleach. I think I watched the first couple episodes when it was airing because of reruns. I remember waking up early at night before school, around 12 o'clock in the morning to 2 o'clock in the morning, just to get up and watch it. But then I realized I could just record it, because that's when the recording started, DVR started coming around. So I started just recording it, and I was being able to watch it. I'd had a question like, why is this on here? And I'm like, this for me. So that's how I was introduced to Bleach. It was back on Adult Swim. And that's when I really understood, okay, this is what anime is. Because I was already starting to understand what anime and manga was due to being an artist and drawing. And so now we got hit up with a whole series. So we'll start up with the easy stuff, okay? So here are the first 3 seasons of Bleach, okay? And I had previously owned these 3, plus all the way up to, I think, season or disc 12, I think, back in the day, before I went in the military. That series is where I got into it, like, big time as an adult. I was living on my own at the time. And the only reason why I stopped buying them is because they weren't being very regular, and it got pretty costly. So I stopped buying that anime, and then I went into the military, and obviously the collection stopped from there. But I do remember fondly having these collections and then selling them off when I got back from the military, and then I went out and bought these. Now these were not very expensive; these were like $5 probably each when I bought the collection when I did it at the time. So. Yeah, the DVD seasons aren't very expensive at all, so I will have to rip that off. That I don't like these looks, but the DVD seasons, there's only I think 5 complete box seasons, and then you got after that they're all just like part seasons, and I didn't like that. It got real costly until the Blu-rays came out. So, but what I thoroughly liked about these is that they came out with goodies, and that's a big poster in the first one, you know, of Ichigo Kodazaki and everything. So, and it, you know, it had some really cool artwork and stuff on it. So I got these only because of the goodies. Now I do have other stuff like the movie stuff from the DVDs that I gave my niece and nephew because I didn't want to give them that stuff because that's collectible stuff, and I knew that they would ruin it, so I chose not to give it to them. But that's because I bought them, and then I ended up getting the Blu-rays anyways, and so I gave them the DVDs except for what we see here. So this is the Substitute. The Substitute is the first season of Bleach, and it gets you the understanding of what a Soul Reaper is. And obviously, Ichigo Kodazaki is the Substitute Soul Reaper, and you see Rukia Kuchiki here, which is I believe at the time she was the 3rd seed before she became lieutenant and then captain later. Which is like way later in the series. We haven't even got to that with the 1,000-Year Blood War, but yeah, she does end up becoming a captain later. But she's actually one of the most powerful Soul Reapers in the entire anime. You just don't know about it, and you don't see the development up to that point until 1,000-Year Blood War, where how powerful she really is. But we all know the most important, most powerful character in the entire franchise is Ichigo Kodazaki. He's literally everything. He's Fullbringer, he's Soul Reaper, he's Hollow, and he's something else. He's also human. So, you know, you got all those good stuff. And the Substitute, the season Substitute is really good. Now, the quality for the DVDs, you can't really tell the difference between that and the Blu-ray, let's be honest here. So if you're looking for a cheap way to get into it, get the Substitute on DVD, and you get all the goodies. Whereas Blu-ray don't, but you do get a higher quality if you're looking for higher quality. I just couldn't see the difference, but that's just me. Yeah, so Substitute's good. He ends up, I believe, taking Rukia Kichiki's sword, if I remember right, and then he becomes and takes her powers to become the Substitute, and that is illegal for a Soul Reaper to allow a human to do that, and so then she is pretty much damned by the Soul Society, and her brother comes in to literally kill Ichigo. He doesn't die, and then he captures Rukia to sentence her to death. So that's what happens in Season 1. Season 2, which is the entry, is literally Ichigo Kodazaki. You see Renji Abarai here. It's Ichigo Kodazaki going into the Soul Society as a Substitute Soul Reaper. After he meets Kisuke Urahara, gets a substitute body to punch out of it so he can go into a Soul Society to rescue Rukia Kuchiki is what's happening here. So, with that being stated, there's a lot of battles that happen in the entry, whereas this one is kind of just a build-up, right? And there's a lot to build up in this anime. And you just don't realize how much there is in the anime up to that point, because it doesn't really start to show its colors until we get into the entry, which is Season 2. With Season 2, it is crazy because Ichigo has to fight through a ton of battles to get to Rukia because he's considered a felon himself. So he is going into the Soul Society, whereas Orihime and Chad both end up following him to the Soul Society, and they're basically backup. But it's pretty much Ichigo going into the Soul Society. He's looking to save Rukia Kuchiki from the death penalty of the Soul Reaper. So here is the box set. You see his Zanbakuto, hollow technically is what that is. And this is Zanbakuto. And then you have really, really pretty artwork, which is, again, another reason why I kept these sets. And I believe this one also has this is extras from the movies, but another big, gigantic poster. After this season, you would only have little cool cards. I believe in the first set, when I bought them back in the day, season 3 ended up having some type of extra, I think they were patches that you could like sew onto your clothing, but then they stopped doing that. I don't know what actually happened to those. I think they just stopped doing it, so it's whatever. I mean, I used to have them, and then one of my friends ended up stealing it from me and then giving the other one to my roommate at the time, and saying, hey, Josh, you can... I never said any of that stuff, so really angry at the time, not so much anymore. It's not a big deal. I'm happy just to have the original series. So here is season 3, which is the Rescue. Rescue is literally him fighting all the captains. So he goes to the Seed 2s, and then he makes it up to the captains, and now you're seeing Toshiro Hitsugaya, which is this guy, squad 10 captain of 13 guard squads, and he's fighting through the squad captains at this point, showing you how powerful Ichigo Kurosaki is, just as a Soul Reaper substitute. I'd probably have to say that's probably the peak moment between him and Kenpachi Zaraki, who are probably the peak fights in this entire season here. But this is the Rescue. He literally is going there and he's fighting the captains, and he actually rescues Rukia. At the ending of it, you could tell that the writer was gonna end it. But you know, Taira Kabuto made it very, very obvious that he was going to end the series, not only by manga, but by the anime. So you could see that he wasn't planning on making more of it, but the series exploded and it became super popular. And so because of that, they came out with a whole slew of anime after that, and manga. And so this is why from after season 3, it became one of the big 3. So what we know as One Piece, Naruto, and Bleach. And it's still, as of today, known as one of the big 3 because of this epic ending in season 3. So here's the hollow form of the guy, his Zanbakuto. And then we'll look into here, we'll see the very pretty artwork again. Now these, if you're wondering what these artworks are, these are actually from the original slipcovers of the cases from the original Bleach. And then they kind of just put it on here into these. So if you were to go out there and buy the individual cases that came out back then, that's what you would get were these. So, but in this one specifically, they actually had 2 specific postcards that utilize that, and you got the Toshiro Hitsugaya, and you got the Ichigo Kurosaki one. Personally, I like the Toshiro Hitsugaya one. He looks cool. Toshiro is probably, honestly, my favorite character in the anime. Other than, no, I would say probably Toshiro Hitsugaya is my favorite character. Other than probably Ichigo, but I think Toshiro is probably my favorite character. He just is, he's really strict, but he's really just chill. And he's like, just got this aura to him that's like, ah. So that's all I have for the DVDs. As for the Blu-rays, let's get into this. Okay, I didn't know anything about the Blu-rays until I got out of the military, until I came back into collecting anime. And that would have been just about 2 years ago when I started collecting anime. And then I'm like, okay, if I'm going to get it, I'm going to get it. And, you know, between Naruto on this one, which obviously you guys know from my last video, I have all of Naruto, right? I have all Bleach, but this was the #1 anime that I was going to get first was Bleach. And so I went on Amazon, got lucky one day, and I saw that they had Bleach for 50% off because it was during December. And I ended up picking them all up for $20 each. And ended up being like $300 something, which is not bad. If it was at full retail price, you're looking at probably closer to $700 for the whole series, because there's 13 complete series of the original series. This takes you from the substitute all the way through the Eisen arc. So, and that's like 300 and something, 374 episodes or something. And yeah, so, yeah, I mean, I said if I'm going to buy it, I'm going to buy the Blu-ray because it's less shelf space, and besides that, the higher quality, and for a price that was just a crazy price, I would get them. When I bought them originally from Amazon, though, most of them didn't come with slip covers, and they were busted when they came in. I was not happy, so I called up Amazon, and I asked them to give me new ones. They're going to either give me a refund, or they're just going to, give me brand new ones. They told me I could just keep the old ones, and that's what I did. So I ended up taking the old ones, and I gave them to my niece and nephew, so they could have the series. I think the only thing they're missing is just like season 1, because all these are all busted. And then they replaced them all, and they made sure all of them were good. Nothing here is broken. Nothing here is in bad condition. And they all came with slip covers, which I was crazy, because that's pretty rare to see. So I was stoked, super happy to see that happened. And that's where we have the whole collection. But yeah, so we have season 1 here. I'm not going to open all of them because they're all like literally the same opening, but you got pretty much the same artwork that you see in the first films. Okay, the first DVD sets is pretty much what it is, what you see here. So again, we have season 2, and again, you're just going to start to see just the same kind of artwork that you see from the first DVD sets. There's no differences in slipcover and normal case. They're the same, so it's kind of no reason for me to kind of do that for you guys. Look at that artwork for Toshiro Hitsugaya. My gosh. But yeah, this is like season 3 right here. I think this is all the episodes that season 3 has. I don't know. I'd have to open it up real quick. So there's 63. 63. Okay, come on. Yep, yeah. And this is exact. So the first 3 seasons, 3 parts, are the same thing as the first 3 seasons that you get on the DVD. And then after that, things got a little wild. So things are a little different. But yeah. Season 5. So you got Orihime, and that's Renji Abadai. It's Ichigo with his hollow mask, and then you got I believe this is Grinjao Jaggerjaw, yep, one of the hollows. Yoriichi. This is a full bringer, but I don't remember his name. It's been a while since I've watched every single episode. Kisuke Urahara. I can't remember this guy's name. I just remember him being one of the most annoying fighters. So, and a lot of people are like, "Oh, there's so many, so much filler in it." And I think Bleach has got like 40% filler. And you know what? Honestly, just watch it all. You'll appreciate all of Bleach, filler or no filler. It doesn't ruin the series, regardless of what people say. I think it's one of those animes where filler is okay. And it didn't ruin it for me, at least for my experience when I was going through it. And then you got Aizen right there. Again, Rukia Kuchiki. And you got, again, the final season of Bleach, the original series, with Ichigo Kozaki. So, this is where they beat Aizen and arrest him. That being stated, they did end up coming out with 4 films. Now, I did have the DVD versions of each of these, but on like shelf space and higher quality. I ended up just grabbing all 4 films, which is Memories of Nobody was the first one, The Diamond Dust Rebellion was the second, Faded Black was the third, and Hellverse. I've seen all of them. I would say probably my favorite one is probably Hellverse. I think is probably the best one, and Diamond Dust Rebellion is really good too. I didn't get into Memories of Nobody. I didn't really like that, and I didn't really care for Fade to Black. So, but what's different about this one is the inside casing is slightly different. You get to see the whole entire Soul Society, whereas the other ones have kind of just the same box set stuff that you see in the other ones. But that's pretty dope. You know, you got the all 4 films, and yeah. Then I ended up going out and getting the live action. Now it's interesting because Japan had a physical release, but you don't get the English release ever on physical for some odd reason. I think it's licensing for whatever it is. Now you can watch it on Hulu, and I think you can watch it on Crunchyroll. More specifically, I think on Hulu, the English dub version. But the physical is only Japanese, and it's no sub on there, so it kind of sucks. But I wanted everything Bleach, so I got it. Finally, what ended up happening, okay, so Bleach went on a big, gigantic hiatus. Now, the writer had wrote the entire franchise, finished the manga, and after he did that, this anime went on hiatus for whatever the reasons. I think something about the licensing rights and stuff. So it went on hiatus for about 10, 12 years, roughly. And so for the longest time, Bleach was never finished. And it wouldn't be until, I believe, 2020 or 2021 where they finally decided to, or at least Crunchyroll or Hulu, I mean, finally got the rights to dub and sub and put out the final arc, which is the 1,000-Year Blood War. Now, up to this point, was just of the Aizen and the Soul Society, and it's pretty much the introduction of Bleach, in my opinion, and huge arc that leads up to the 1,000-Year Blood War, which is the war between the Quincy's and the Soul Reapers, right? And now, up to the Aizen arc, there wasn't a crazy amount of deaths in the anime, and there were some of them, but there wasn't too many of them. Most of them kind of survived all the way through it. I mean, Aizen did kill a couple of them, and there was a couple others in the series. But as for violence factor and action factor, it was a really jam-packed anime, but didn't have that much gore, right, or blood. It wouldn't be until the 1,000-Year Blood War where we got a lot of death. And you're seeing, like, favorite characters like the Squad 1 captain or the head captain Yamamoto getting killed. You're seeing some of your most praised characters just dying left and right. Boom, 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 right in part 1 of 1,000-Year Blood War. And then part 2, same thing, just boom, boom, this dude died. This dude did, because the Quincy's just came out of nowhere and just started killing them. And what they did is they took the 1,000-Year Blood War arc, which is considered the sequel to that series, even though it's technically L1 in the manga. The manga had been finished over like 12 years at this point. And they divided it into 4 parts. Now, we have currently 2 parts with the 3rd part on digital right now, but it will be released on physical here soon. And then you have the 4th part coming out soon after that. And again, you have the final 4th part. They took it and broke it into 4 parts. I'm okay with that. But at the same time, I think they probably should have just left it with, 2 parts. But that's okay. It's whatever. I'm just glad that they're finishing Bleach finally. I wouldn't doubt they're probably going to make a movie, probably to sum it all up with the final battle. I hope they do. Yeah. So we got 1,000-Year Blood War, 1,000-Year Blood War. My gosh, guys, this is I'm thinking of still going out there to get the limited edition ones just because it's Bleach. But yeah. So you got 1,000-Year Blood War, part 1, part 2. Like I said, part 3 is on digital right now, and it's coming physical here soon. So when that comes out, I'll get it. But this is just basically the conclusion to Bleach, finally, after several years, 12 years, 2 decades, or something like that. That's what it was. And so yeah, if you're new to Bleach, that's probably why you're liking it. It's literally the final arc. And you really don't have to watch all of Bleach. It's 300 something episodes to get up to 1,000 Year Blood War, because it explains and summarizes all of what happens in, the original Bleach season. But really you don't need to, because it's 1,000 Year Blood War and it's way more violent than the first part. So, good stuff, though, because then this is also the part where you see Ichigo going Fullbringer, you see Ichigo going full hollow, and he like combines all of them. So really cool. And then you got part 2 here, which again is just really cool. This is called The Separation. Nothing too crazy on that either, but just part 2 of the final season. So, and then from that, Taito ended up making another series called Burn the Witch. So Burn the Witch, people are wondering, okay, is it canonical to Bleach? Yes, it is. It's within the universe of Bleach. It actually has elements from Bleach, and if you look at the title here, it says Burn the Witch, BTCH, is Bleach, and it highlights it when you watch at the ending of the series. It tells you this is the Western Soul Society. So we know that Burn the Witch is part of the Bleach series, but it takes place on the Eastern Front, which is in Europe, and it's its own story. It's a spin-off, but at the same time, it is canonical. It's just happening in the same time frame as Bleach. And instead of using spiritual pressure, they're using this thing called magic. So, and then you also have dragons. So it is a completely different story with different characters. But it is part of the Bleach franchise, and it's a sub-story because it deals with the Soul Society. Now, what's interesting about this is that this only has 3 episodes. In Japan, this came out as a featured film with all 3 episodes into a film. But here in the States, they decided to keep it broken up in 3 episodes. And you can watch all of these on Crunchyroll right now, and I don't think Hulu has it. So it might be on Hulu, but I know Crunchyroll, you can watch all 3 of these episodes. 3 episodes, and it's probably up there with Bleach in my opinion. But they put this on hiatus, so this is the complete series as of right now. We don't know if Taito is going to end up going back to it. We do believe he is after they summarize and finish all Bleach. But how much more episodes are going to be in there, I don't know. I don't think there's going to be very many, but I can't wait. I really enjoyed it. Just the stunning factor that this is part of the Bleach universe, and everything just kind of blew my mind. But yeah, so these characters pretty much just live in London is what it is, I believe. And then they have a place called Reavers in London, which is like the Soul Society, right? And that's where you do most of the action. So, but the enemies are invisible, just like the Hollows are from the real London and stuff. So there's a lot of aspects which are very similar to Bleach, but it is its own entity. Really, it is. It's its own anime, but it does have its tie-ins with Bleach, which makes it canonical to Bleach. As for timeline, it's happening during the events of Bleach. So we don't know exactly when, but we just know it's happening during that time frame. So really beautifully animated, really, really cool anime. But it's only 3 episodes, which is a bummer. I wish there would be more, but he put it on hiatus. And I think the reason is because he's got to finish 1,000 Year Blood War anime. And then we will see what happens. So also, I don't think this did as well as Bleach. So not as many people know about Burn the Witch. I didn't know about Burn the Witch until about 2 months ago. When I heard about it, saw about it, I'm like, ooh, I better get that. Because it's out of print. Or it's going to go out of print here soon. So, but yeah, there you guys go. That is a anime in review. And I would say that, given this being my favorite anime of all time, other than Digimon and Sword Art Online, I'd still say this is probably my favorite anime. This is obviously 10 out of 10. So, if you guys haven't had a chance to watch Bleach, don't worry about the people when they say about fillers. Watch the fillers. It just gives you more into the story, even though it's not technically canonical to the the manga. The anime has got its own adaptation. It's canonical to the anime. So I don't care what people say. Everything connects well. So, but yeah, like I said, 10 out of 10. Great anime, great series. Chance to get out there, go watch it. You can watch it on Hulu. Only problem is you can't watch it on Crunchyroll, unfortunately, because Hulu's got the licensing rights to it. But you can watch Burn the Witch on Crunchyroll, though, at least. And I think you can watch the live action on Crunchyroll. As for the series, it's only on Hulu. So, yeah. Unless you're willing to throw down like $400, I'd say stream it. You'd have to be a super fan like me to know what's going on there. So, yeah, that's all I have, guys. So, bye.